Hello everyone and welcome back to Steins Gate Zero. I'm G, and we have been following Suzuha as she's been supervising Yuki and Daru's date. And yeah, curry happened. Let's just go from there. In the end, Yuki and Suzuha did have the curry eating contest, and surprisingly, both of them completely finished their meals. Suzuha won by a very small margin, but the battle was exciting enough that not only the other customers, but the staff as well were applauding at the end. But the whole time, Itaru kept eating by himself. Since this wasn't even a conversation, let alone a date, she sent Itaru home alone. Part of her wanted to demand Itaru explain himself right now, but she decided to talk to Yuki instead. She tried her best to avoid Yuki so far in order to keep her identity a secret, but it was July now. She would be gone from this era very soon. This might be her last chance to talk to Yuki at all.
Oh. I'm so glad you were there.
Yuki sighed a little after Itaru left.
Maybe I did something to offend him. Ashita didn't seem to enjoy being around me. You don't think he was just nervous? But he was having fun talking with me before the movie, you know? After the movie, he started acting really strange. Did I do something wrong? I asked him to take me to the curry place, but since he was acting like that the whole time, I wasn't really sure what to do. And so since you happened to be there, I turned to you for help.
What had happened inside the theater? Suzuha hadn't followed them inside. He spent about 2 hours killing time outside.
Hey. Why do you like my brother? Huh? Huh? I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this, but he's not exactly a lady killer. What do you think about your brother? Me? Do you like him? Hate him? You like him, right? I can tell by watching you. Well, sure.
There were parts of him that she didn't like. But of course, she loved her dad.
Wait, why are we talking about me? So, what about you? I still don't really know if I like him or not. I see.
Not only had Itaru not told Yuki he liked her, this was still their first date. And they hadn't spoken that much before either. She hadn't even reached the point where she saw him as a member of the opposite sex. For almost a year, Suzuha had stayed with him, and she, Mayuri, and Ferris had done everything they could to get the two of them together. But there hadn't been any real progress. Suzuha felt uneasy when she thought about the future. Maybe her dad wouldn't be her dad anymore. Maybe her mom wouldn't be her mom anymore. Dad and mom wouldn't be together. She imagined that future.
I don't want that.
She looked straight into Yuki's eyes.
I'm going to be leaving soon. What? I'm moving someplace far away. Really? I don't think I'll be back. And I'm worried about my brother. So, Yuki, I know this is a weird thing for me to ask.
And then she bowed deeply.
Please take care of Itaru Hashida.
There was no answer from Yuki. Suzuha looked up, afraid, and tried to gauge the expression on her face. She looked kind of lonely, and kind of sad.
I don't know what I want to do.
He whispered, and then Suzuha.
Oh geez, what are we going to do? Everything's almost finished, even though it's never even started.
As soon as she got back to the lab, she yelled at her useless father. Suzuha, I'm sorry. The Hashida family is doomed.
Stop sitting there feeling sorry for yourself. This isn't funny. Start by explaining why you were acting that way today. You looked so excited when you left this morning, and Mom said you were normal until halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
So what the hell happened?
Well, you see, listen to this. You know how movie theater seats are cramped, right? So I tried to sit as far to the edge as I could so I wouldn't get in Maishi's way. Then I heard this crack and the seat almost broke.
What?
And then I tried to support myself, so I grabbed the armrest. But, it wasn't the armrest, it was Maishi's hand.
Yeah? Mom didn't say anything about that.
And telling the truth, it was so soft. It could have been an armrest. It was a girl's hand. It had to have been.
I see.
You see, I felt a lot of 2D girls' hands, but never real girls.
And? What happened then?
Man, she's so nice. I guess she didn't try to shake it off because she didn't want to hurt me. You know how fat I am, right? I sweat a lot. She must have gotten soaked, but she didn't say a word. So I really started to think about that.
Oh, I see. That's why you were acting so weird.
I'm sure in her mind she was going, "Get off me, you creepy loser pervert."
Mom's not like that.
In fact, from the way she was acting, she probably thought she'd upset him somehow. The problem was what she'd said.
I don't know what I want to do.
What'd she mean by that?
I don't know what Mom's thinking.
Let's give up on Mom and you can live with me.
You're not making any sense. How am I even supposed to be born?
But it's impossible.
How come you're not even trying? Even if things look bad, you have to keep going.
She grabbed her father by the collar and shook him.
If you don't...
He remembered how sad Yuki had looked when they'd said goodbye.
Otherwise, something awful will happen.
Yeah.
Suzuha was starting to wonder about leaving, especially now that she had even more to worry about. Maybe I shouldn't have talked to Yuki after all. She realized again how powerless she was, being from the future. The Global Brain Science Comprehensive Research Organization Japanese office prep room in Wako City hadn't changed a bit in 6 months. It was still far from being what it needed to be and still almost completely empty. There were rows and rows of empty desks. The amount of dust on the tables had perhaps increased. After Dr. Leskinen had left, it had probably remained unused.
Sorry to call you out here like this, Lintelo.
Oh, it's fine. Dr. Leskinen had told me he wanted to update the Amadeus app to the latest version, so I'd come to his office after class. I connected my phone to her PC to begin the process. He said it would only take 10 minutes, so I was sitting around and waiting.
By the way, Lintelo, I know we discussed this before, but would you seriously consider being an exchange student?
Huh?
If it doesn't bother you, I'd be willing to write a recommendation letter. Of course, you need to pass the test and the interviews.
I frantically straightened my posture. It's a very tempting offer, but I don't think I've got the academic talent for it yet. My goal is to go to Victochondria, and so I really don't want to screw it up. And so I was planning on really buckling down and studying for at least another year. Dr. Leskinen pursed his lips as I tried to stammer out an explanation. But soon...
Okay.
He patted me on the shoulder and smiled.
I knew you were a very thoughtful young man.
Really? No one's ever told me that before. Saying it was one thing. But maybe I was just a coward. There were times when you needed the courage to move forward without being afraid of failure. Was now one of those times?
So you'll try for it next year, then?
Yes, maybe. I missed my chance. But Dr. Leskinen didn't wait until next year. I started to get nervous.
It's not good to obsess over things too much. I think even coming to visit would help your motivation.
Visit?
If the timing works out for you, we'd be willing to pay to have you visit. How about it?
I can't believe you do that for me. Thank you.
Of course. I don't know when I'll be heading back to America next, so I can't say exactly as to when it will be. Right. I bowed my head in gratitude. Being Dr. Leskinen was a real lucky break for me. By chance, my eyes met Maho's. For some reason, her smile was a little sad. She quickly looked away and went back to her work. Maho was staying in a business hotel a few stops down from Mako City. She said she deliberately avoided staying in the same hotel as last time.
It's not quite as convenient, though.
You know, why not clean up a little? She hadn't spent that much time in Japan, and it was already messy.
Clean up? I've got everything laid out in the most efficient manner for my use.
Which meant she was refusing the hotel's cleaning service.
You know that's why you're never getting a boyfriend, right?
I could hear Kursu from my phone. She was annoyed. After the app update, I left Amadeus running.
Nobody asked you. Any normal person would be embarrassed to invite someone over to a room like this.
Well, cleaning wasn't a specialty of mine either. It wouldn't be right to give her too much of a hard time. So, what do you want to talk about? I'd come to Maho's hotel because she said she wanted to talk to me about something. I wouldn't have minded talking about it in the office, but she insisted on speaking alone in her hotel room. I knew she didn't mean anything by it. After knowing her for half a year, I knew she wasn't the type. Maho looked like she was having trouble finding the words she wanted to say.
You still haven't told me the truth about what happened to Kursu.
I quickly shut down the Amadeus app.
And I want to ask you about the time machine, too.
The time machine?
You're the one who said that Kursu was involved in Dr. Nakabachi's paper. Was she really working on a time machine?
How should I answer that? Last time she'd been trying to decrypt Kursu's laptop. I was willing to tell her what I'd experienced in order to get her to stop. In the end, I lost the chance, though. But things were different now. Kursu's laptop was gone. There was no reason to bring it up anymore. But then Maho said something I didn't expect.
Actually, I've been researching a time machine for the last 6 months, along with my normal research.
What?
I thought that if Kursu could do it, so could I. It's just a silly rivalry. Maybe I'm just being stubborn. But you know, if I could make a time machine, I told myself maybe I could save Kursu.
Don't! This was awful. Why bring it up now? I was still haunted by Kursu's death just as much as I was. Don't get any stupid ideas.
Okabe.
Don't try to save Kursu Makise. It's impossible. The laws of God won't allow it.
And I was right. I was right! You know something, don't you?
Maho got closer to me.
Did she really do it? Did Kursu really make a time machine? You used it to become humanity's first time traveler, didn't you? I know you did!
Do you have any proof of that? I pretended to remain calm. Maho seemed shocked at her own words.
I'm sorry. I'm being weird. I can't believe I said something so delusional.
Yajo? Maho started to cry. I didn't know what to do when she started crying right in front of me.
It's gotten into me. I didn't mean to cry.
She used her fingers to wipe away the tears. She seemed pretty unstable. I could sense a lot more fragility than I'd seen before. She looked like she'd been psychologically pushed to the limit. All the things she'd experienced must have taken a toll on her. When we were talking on video chat, I hadn't seen any signs of that at all. Should I tell her? If she was researching a time machine, that was a bad sign. She might start looking into things and open doors that should remain closed. If that was the case, I should tell her what I experienced and then have her give up, just like I did. Fine. I'll tell you what I experienced. Promise me you won't tell anyone. And I'll say this one more time. Don't get any ideas about saving Kurisumakise. Got it? She nodded as she wiped away the tears. I told her about the events in the Alpha World Line, about the time machine, about reading Steiner, about the method of sending memories back through time that I called a time leap, about how Kurisu had developed a time leap machine that made this possible, about Suzuha Amane, the time traveler from the year 2036, about the future Suzuha had told us about in the Third World War, and about how the race to develop a time machine would set off that war. I told her all those things, as matter-of-factly as I could. As for how Kurisu died, I couldn't tell her that. When I told her everything, she fell silent for a bit. She took a deep breath, frowned, and rubbed her temples.
My head hurts.
You don't need to believe it all. You can think I'm crazy if you want. It doesn't bother me. But if you insist on continuing to research a time machine and save Kurisumakise, I'll do whatever I have to in order to stop you. So give up on any ideas you've got. Stop pushing yourself so hard. I was about to say more, but Maho put her hand up to stop me.
Let me get this all straight in my head a little more. This reading Steiner you told me about, it's not the new encephalitis? The symptoms match what Dr. Leskinen told me about.
That's true. It might be. I still don't know whether I should tell him or not. It may just confuse him for no good reason. What do you think?
Don't ask me, please.
Maho was still massaging her temples with her fingers. That's true. Sorry.
Did you really destroy Kurisu's laptop?
Yeah, I did.
Did you see what was on it?
I didn't know how to crack the password. There was no way I could. Even Daru said he couldn't do it. There was no way I could do it on my own.
Did you read the original paper on the time machine that Kurisu wrote?
No. Maho kept asking me questions. He seemed to be in some kind of strange hurry.
You know how Kurisu made her time machine?
The basic ideas.
Could you recreate it?
I don't know. Maybe with Daru's help.
You could, right?
It would be difficult to do on my own.
What about me?
Don't even think about it. Mao suddenly grimaced as if she was in pain. I realized how pale she was. Yajo? Are you okay? Did she really have a headache or something? You want to lie down? She shook her head and kept asking questions.
Where's the time machine now? The one that Suzuha used. Where is it? Where?
I wasn't sure if I should say without Suzuha's permission. Akihabara. Maho looked so desperate that I found myself answering her question. It's still there on top of the radio building.
I see.
Her shoulders slumped, and her head dropped. I was worried that she might ask to see it for herself, but maybe she really was sick. Are you really okay? I put my hand on her shoulder and looked at her face. You should rest for today. There was no warning at all. Maho's tiny body slammed into me. The force was enough to push me back to the wall. What are you? Before I knew what was happening, her arm was against my throat. She was using the bone in her arm to put pressure on my windpipe. I couldn't breathe or speak. I twisted my body and tried to resist, still clueless as to what was going on. Then she used her other hand to grab my head and slam it back into the wall. Her strength was incredible. I was a lot bigger than she was, but still I couldn't escape her grasp.
I'm sorry, Okabe.
Her voice was very dark and very cold. And suddenly she moaned again and her face twisted in pain.
Ah! My head feels like it's about to explode.
She was crying again.
Why did you tell me? You shouldn't have said anything.
Ugh! I couldn't escape. I grabbed onto her long hair and tried to pull her away, but she didn't move at all. It was as if she felt no pain. My phone had been vibrating in my pocket for a while now. I desperately grabbed for it. I pressed the button without even looking at the screen. Please answer, Kurisu.
Okabe!
Kurisu! I was blacking out. Was I going to die here? Without even knowing why Maho was trying to kill me? But the whole time she was strangling me, Maho looked like she was in so much pain. And wait, was she still crying? Before I could figure out if her tears were real or an act, I passed out. When I woke up, my throat hurt. I tried to cover my mouth with my hands, but something was keeping them from moving. I opened my eyes and saw that I was sitting in some kind of chair with my head facing downwards. I slowly raised my head. My hands were tied to the armrest with zip ties. When I tried to break out, the ties dug into my skin and hurt very badly. I tried looking around. I was in a room I'd never seen before. There were machines that looked like they belonged in the operating room of a hospital. But the wall was also lined with monitors, like some kind of guard room or control room. I couldn't see any windows, so I had no idea where I was. Someone... My throat hurt when I tried to talk. And then I remembered that Maho had almost killed me. Why had she done that? I felt more confused than angry. Hello, Intelo. You're awake. I heard footsteps and saw a wavering shadow beneath the dim fluorescent lights in front of me. I knew that voice. What? Dr. Leskinen? How do you feel? If you're thirsty, I can get you some water. When I looked again, I saw that he wasn't alone. There were several men behind him in black suits. They were looking at me without saying a word. All of them were holding guns. They looked like MIBs, and reminded me of the foreigners I'd almost ran into at Daru's shop 6 months ago. Or was it the same group? What's going on here? There were a lot of things I wanted to ask, but more than anything, I wanted to know why Dr. Leskinen wasn't helping me. Of course, the first thing that came to mind was the obvious answer. It was Dr. Leskinen who had put me here, and Maho had captured me under his orders. But I didn't want to think about that. Where are we? All I could ask was a stupid question like that. I was right. You truly are a treasure trove of information. Right now, you're as valuable as the President of the United States. He didn't answer me, but he showed me a self-satisfied smile. I could feel alarm bells going off in my head. I was getting more suspicious of Dr. Leskinen. Am I imprisoned here? It would be more accurate to say you're under our protection. Once your value becomes clear, there will be a lot of people coming after you. You order this, Dr. Leskinen? That's right. I made the decision. After hearing about your information from Maho. Where is Hyajo? Resting in her hotel room, I'd imagine. Did Hyajo become my friend in order to extract information from me? That wasn't her original intent. In the end, that's how it ended up, though. And you too? Were you nice to me because you were after something? Just who are you? Now, please calm down. I've told you before, haven't I? A scientist must remain calm at all times. Excitement is only allowed when the experiment is a success. Instead of feeling calm, Dr. Leskinen's attitude was pissing me off. I felt betrayed. There was rage, frustration, sorrow, and a lot of other feelings all mixed together as I gritted my teeth. Dr. Leskinen ignored me and gave a brief order in English to the other men. They left the room. Only Dr. Leskinen and I remained. Now then, Lintelo, I'll tell you about my other job. Your other job? It was then that I remembered the other world line that I had been sent to. Shimayama had told me that an American organization had demanded that I be turned over. Are you with the CIA? The NSC? Dr. Leskinen only chuckled. Don't compare me to those idiots. They're just a bunch of useless government employees. Are you aware of an American civilian intelligence company called Strategic Focus? Strategic Focus? I'd heard of them before on a conspiracy theory site that the old me used to read all the time. Stratfor? I remembered reading that they'd acquired top-secret information on Russian ballistic missiles that even the CIA couldn't get, and then sold it. The result was the destruction of the CIA's reputation, and at the same time the total reorganization of Russia's military strategy. I'd even heard rumors that during the Gulf and Iraq wars they'd obtained information about the warring countries faster than anyone, and spread it as needed. The world's government supposedly called them the Shadow CIA. You work for Stratfor? I thought you were the chief researcher at the Brain Science Institute. That's my real job, of course. By the way, I often run into people who tell me the exact same things. They tell me that humans are just monkeys that murder each other. The human brain and the development of the neocortex are what give rise to crazy religions and crazy ambitions, and that's why there are wars. But every time I hear that, I think to myself, that's stupid, it's nonsense. Who could believe something so silly? So why do humans fight all these useless wars then? Do you know, Lintelo? It's because of information. All human beings are part of a certain community, a certain colony, if you will. Each individual thinks he's acting on his own, but in fact all our brains are connected by the information distributed by our community. And thus we are forced to live as members of a herd, whether we like it or not. Let me give you an example. Well, as examples go, it's not the best, but... the worst massacre in history, which was carried out by a certain European country, did not take place during the dark ages of the witch trials. It was halfway through the 20th century, in a time when the atomic bomb already existed. And the country that carried it out was one of the most civilized on Earth. We'll leave the question of their leader's sanity to the historians, but... what about the people who were actually on the ground doing the killing? Were they simply murderous monkeys? No, they were people, like any others you might find. Speaking as a brain scientist, I'm sure that if I were to examine one of their brains, I'd find nothing wrong with them at all. But once they received the wrong information, their brains became capable of murder without remorse. Wrong information? This is our job. We are in the right, and anyone who does not obey is evil. That information. What are you trying to say? There needs to be someone who can control the information given to these fragile things we call brains. And that is the ultimate goal of strategic focus. As I am in complete agreement with that goal, I work as an agent for them in addition to being a brain scientist. Do you understand? I don't. It's just the kind of monologue a villain gives in the movies. In the end, all you're doing is selling information for money. You said I'm a treasure trove of information, right? Where are you going to sell information on the time machine to? America? China? Or the war zones in Africa and the Middle East? All of them. Leskinen shrugged his shoulders and quietly laughed. It's just like nuclear weapons. Every nation needs them to act as a restraint against the others. Time machines aren't like nuclear weapons. No one even realizes if they've been used. The whole world might change without even the person who used it knowing. There's no way to restrain their use. The world will just keep changing and changing with no one knowing which country altered the world line or how. That's right. A time machine is a far more delicate thing than a nuclear weapon. That's why we need your power. All of you people, I should say. You called it reading Steiner, as I recall. It seems to have the same symptoms as the new encephalitis. That's right. Leskinen was researching the new encephalitis too. We'd reached the point where we realized that the patients may be capable of detecting changes to the past. But we wanted proof. So does every intelligence agency in the world. They're desperately searching. I hated myself for not realizing the possibility sooner. I'd always had the wrong idea. I thought that the reason the new encephalitis patients were being brought together was just to give them meaningless treatment. But I was too naive. Too naive. Leskinen and Stratford's goal was to gather people with reading Steiner and study them. Maho just told me all about your amazing abilities. I had originally just hoped to get information about Kursu's successes. But instead we even got information on the new encephalitis. You are wonderful. This puts us a step ahead for the rest of the world. Ugh. And why didn't you tell me about this sooner? If you had, I wouldn't have had to do so many things to your friend Katsumi's brain. What? Katsumi Nakase. Did he mean Fubuki? And I wouldn't have had to use the procedure on Maho's brain either. Even Hyajo? Is that why she was acting so weird? She's your assistant, right? She respected you, she looked up to you. How could you use her in a human experiment? It was necessary to acquire information that will benefit all of humanity. And there's no real need to panic. Both Maho and Katsumi will survive with only minor impairments to their brain functionality. You're insane! The first time I felt hatred for, and fear of, the man in front of me. I couldn't believe that this was the same man I'd respected so much. If we investigate the brains of patients who have constructed reading Steiner, I'm sure we'll learn more. If we can sell that in a set along with the time machines, we can maintain the military balance of power across the world. We can avoid war. I want your cooperation, too. Leskinen's mannerisms hadn't changed a bit, even as he spoke of these horrifying things. He spoke of these insane things in the same manner that Maho once described as like a mischievous child. You tricked me, didn't you? You approached me just because I was friends with Kursu. You tried to get information about Kursu from me. I don't think I ever tricked you. It was a coincidence that we first met. It's true that a major reason I asked you to test Amadeus was your relationship with Kursu. But it's also true that as I got to know you, I really did take an interest in you. I still wish you could be my assistant. But that's a separate matter. Remember what I said? You're as valuable as the President of the United States himself right now. I need to prioritize the company's work over my private feelings. For the sake of humanity's future peace. I'm sorry, Lintalo, but at the same time, I'm excited. I can't wait to see all the information you possess. Go to hell! I'm going to take a copy of your memory data. Your memories are going to be used in the Amadeus system. Interesting idea, right? That way, even if you die in an unfortunate accident, your memories will remain. Oh, don't worry. I'm not interested in killing you. Humans have far weaker security than Amadeus. Once they taste pain, they'll gladly share information to escape it. Their security when it comes to keeping secrets is practically non-existent. Torture doesn't work on Amadeus, which means it will be far more difficult to deal with than you. The only reason I'm taking the memory data is to have a backup. Even if, for example, you were unable to endure the torture and went insane. In the near future, we'll be able to download your memories back into your brain. You attended my lecture, so you know this, right? We'll start by getting that memory data. And then you're going to tell me all kinds of things. We're going to be busy. Now, relax. Otherwise, I can't extract the data correctly. Laskinen, you... Don't make that face. No one is coming to help you. This place is under Stratford's control. No one knows about it but us. No one. I was too stunned to think. There was nowhere to run. My knees shook in terror as I imagined what was about to happen to me. Maybe it would have been better to die. And then I felt sick as I remembered that I was fated not to die until 2025. If no amount of torture could kill me, this was literally hell. Jesus Christ! Okay, well, I think that there's a pretty good place to cut it. We went from 0 back to 100 really, really fast. We were talking about ramen, and no, there was no ramen, there was curry. We were dealing with curry, and now we're talking about decades of torture. So yeah, that's cool. But yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a short episode. That's fine. I feel like we're not going to get another break for a little while. But for now, thank you all so much for following my playthrough of Steins Gate 0, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now!